Some are into booming bass, while others are into crisp and sparkly trebles. But you're a special breed. You're into beautiful, lush vocals. But you don't want to spend over $100 or even $50. Well, if that's the case, I have an answer for you. This is the Brainwavz M1 earphones. And my name is Tom, and welcome to On a Student Budget. And today, we'll be reviewing these M1 earphones, and we'll find out why they're one of my favorite budget options. Now, before we start this review, I just want to let you guys know, as always, I'm going to post a link in the description below to my full, more comprehensive written review over on HeadFi. And I will also be posting extra links on where you can find out more information about these M1s and where you can purchase them as well. And I also want to thank Brainwavz for sending a pair of these M1s out for review. Now, let's actually get started with the review. In terms of design and build quality, the M1s are a rather understated pair of earphones. It has a design that's really not going to catch a lot of attention when you're wearing these out on the streets. It has an entirely black housing with a silver metal band around the nozzle to give the aesthetics a little bit of a lift, but the actual housing shape is more of a conical kind of shape, which allows these earphones to be easily held in your hand and inserted into your ear. In terms of build quality, the M1s are made with a light mixture of metals and plastic. The housing is entirely made out of plastic, with the exception of the metal nozzle and the metal band, which allows these earphones to have a nicer sense of durability and solidity to it as well. The M1s terminate in a 45-degree angled jack, which is very well relieved, and there's just enough room on the jack which allows these earphones to get into smartphone cases relatively easily. The cables on the M1s are very high quality braided cables with a rubberized sheath over top of it. However, there are a few things to note. The first is that the Y-shaped split is missing a cable cinch, which really isn't a big deal for me, but it is again something to note. The second issue I wanted to talk about is the lack of strain relief when the cable exits the earpieces. I think that this issue is magnified with the M1s based on the small size, shape, and the smooth finishing on the earpieces themselves. It's a little harder to grab onto it when you want to remove it, so I found myself tugging on the cable more often than I'd like. In terms of comfort and ergonomics, I think the M1s do a very good job in this category because they have a very small footprint. So as a result of that, I can easily recommend this to someone with the smallest of ears all the way to the biggest as well. And the actual housing itself, it has a very smooth and rounded finish, so there's no parts that's going to be rubbing up against your ear in any sort of uncomfortable manner. In terms of isolation, the M1s do about an average job in this category because there is quite a large port at the back of each of the earpieces here. So as a result, these earphones, I can recommend them for busing and very light commuting as well. And if you're going to be doing subway or air travel, I think that they are just passable for those kind of uses. In terms of sound, this is by far the best aspect of these M1 earphones because they have a balanced sound signature. So it's a signature that's very different from the traditional earphones, especially at this price range that tends to be a lot bassier and a lot harsher in comparison. So these earphones are balanced, they're mid-centric in the sense that the vocals are just beautiful. They have a laid-back sound and easy-going sound, and I actually nicknamed these as mini RE400s, which is to reference to the Hi-Fi Man RE400. So if you Google the Hi-Fi Man RE400, you will see a lot of stellar reviews saying that those earphones are just a standout at $99, and those earphones will easily compete with a lot of more expensive earphones. And I feel the exact same way with these M1 earphones. I think at $49 or $44, these earphones are just fantastic. So let's go into detail on what I actually mean by that. So starting from the bass of the M1s are fairly linear and it extends fairly low as well. And the bass here retains good control and good speed throughout. However, I would say in terms of quantity, it would be a little bass light for some people. So it's definitely not going to satisfy bass heads in terms of the quantity of the bass, but the bass here is very well integrated into the sound, and I think it acts as a more of a complementary piece rather than a standout quality of the entire sound signature. Now, in terms of the mid-range, this is where the magic is at with the M1s. The M1s have a natural, a full, a more liquid, polite, a smooth kind of mid-range, and it's a little bit more laid back. So it's a mid-range that is just kind of like the kind of mid-range you just want to come home and just relax and just melt away in. And the M1s here, in terms of the vocals, will never sound congested or any sort of harshness or any kind of stridency, especially for female vocals, and I really do appreciate that. Now the treble of the M1s are kind of reminiscent of the Sennheiser Momentum over-ear headphones that I had previously and I reviewed in an earlier video, and you can click that review in the annotation above my finger right here. Now in that headphone, the treble is still clean, still articulate, but the treble is more rolled off and more polite sounding in general. And that, I think that is remains true with the M1s here. So the treble here is more consistent with the sound signature, which is smooth, polite, inoffensive, and just very easygoing kind of sound. Now, in terms of soundstage, the M1s do a good job in this category as well, because considering how small the actual housing was, I would have thought the soundstage would be more of a intimate, a closed, or more of an in-your-head kind of experience. However, that's not the case here, because the M1s have more of a wider kind of soundstage, and it retains good separation throughout. However, I do think that depth and actual placement is a little bit lacking on them. However, it's hard to fault considering the price of the M1s here. Now, to end the sound section of this review, I compared the Brainwavz M1s with the Hi-Fi Man RA400s as well, and you can click my impressions of these earphones in the description below and my actual full written review over on Head5. But to conclude, I think the M1s here are a fantastic option at $45 to $50, and I would wholeheartedly recommend these earphones for someone that's looking for a different kind of sound signature, something that's balanced, smooth, great vocals, and very easygoing kind of sound. Well, I hope you enjoyed this review of the Brainwavz M1s. If you liked it, or if it helped you out, definitely hit the like and subscribe button, share with your friends, and if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments below. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.